Hello everyone, this is Amina from the Infor enablement team. This is the first video in our second set of our Mongoose portal series. In this video, we're going to create the customer page. We're also going to create the customer orders subform. I'm going to show you how to design the form and build the M3 IDOs, as well as getting the customer order data from the M3 API. Let's get started. In the last set of videos, we created our homepage portal. As I'm logging into our portal, it will take me directly to the customer's page depending on my account type. Note that we have our user's first and last name in the menu bar, as well as they can see all of the customer orders on the form. We'll start by creating a copy of the homepage form. So for the source, type in your homepage form name, and I'm going to make my target form portal AK underscore customer page. After you've created your customer page form, I'm getting rid of the things that we don't need. So that's the user component from the home page and the subform component. So here I clicked into Flex Layout Content, and I'm just renaming the home region to Customer Orders, and the right pane is set to false for visible in design mode. In the menu bar where it says Login, I'm changing that to Log Out, and we will create an event later for logging out. Under event handlers, there's a lot of events from the homepage form, so I'm just getting rid of those. We will only keep the About Us button event and toggle nav. Everything else we will delete. And after I've done this, I'm going to go into form script and get rid of any methods from the homepage form. So my script is clean, my event handlers are deleted. I'm going back into the menu and getting rid of any of the things that we don't need. So that was the register button. Click on the menu and we'll go into the Flex Nav Flex. Under region 2, we're going to add another region. This region will hold our first and last name of the user. It will be of 20 form unit, and I renamed it to customer info. Above it, I will add another region of 5 form unit. Region 3 will have orientation, horizontal, middle, and start, and region 4 will have the same thing, horizontal, middle, and start. For the default margin, I'm adding spacing to the left side, so that is 1, 0, 0, 0. When you're done, regenerate your form. Drag a static to the smaller region in the menu bar. The static will hold our icon for the user. Under the Appearance tab, I will add the icon associated with the static. So for me, it's Acme underscore logged in. Adjust the size of the static. Going under Layout Size, I'm setting the width to 4.8 and the height to 1.4. Drag another static to the second region we created. The theme class will be white bold label. The binding will be to a variable. The width will be 24.8 and the height will be 1.4. Regenerate your form. Go to the login form. The way we're extracting our first and last name of the logged in user is from this form. When the user presses login, it triggers the validate login event. A variable on the homepage form, var Acme user, is set to the first and last name, and an event go to customer page is generated. So our parent form in this case is our homepage form. Take note of the variable and the name of the event. Go back to the customer page. Assign the first and last name static to the variable var Acme user and regenerate your form. Go to your homepage form, and we're going to create the event go to customer page that we saw on our login form. Under event handlers, I click the plus icon to add an event, and I'm creating the event go to customer page. Hit OK. For the response type, select Go to Form, replace this form with a new form, and hit the ellipsis. And for the form, select your customer page form. In the Set Variables section, we're setting the variable var Acme user, the one that we assigned to our first and last name static, to the value of a variable on this form, with the name also var Acme user that we set from the login form. Make sure to add that variable under the Variables tab. When you're done, regenerate. Go into Run mode, and from the homepage form, log into your customer page form. When you're there, I'm just checking to see if anything is out of place. Looks like my first and last name are being extracted properly in the menu bar, but it's being cut off. We also have to add functionality to the logout button and fix the first and last name. So going back into design mode, opening up our customer page again, click on the static and set the justification to left. And for the logout button, under event handlers, create a new event, logout. For the response type, select Go to Form, and when you press the logout button, it should take you back to the homepage form. So setting the form to Portal AK homepage. Hit OK when you're done. Click on our first and last name static. Set no colon under miscellaneous to true. Regenerate. I also need to add a space between the first and last name. So I'm going back to the login form where I'm setting the variable var Acme user. I'm adding a space between the two strings. Regenerate your login form. Let's go back into run mode and check if everything is working properly. And yep, it looks like the name is being displayed properly. Okay, so this is the subform that we're going to add to our customer page form. It contains all of the customer orders from M3. Go into Form Definition New, select Flex for the category and Basic for the wizard. Give your customer orders form a name, so my subform name will be Portal AK _ customer orders. The unit will be car. I'm going to hit Next and then Finish. Your new form will have 3 flex regions. So click into the main flex, and for the first region, it's going to be 30 form unit. Orientation is set to fill. Renaming it to tile. That's where our grid tiles will be. The middle region is for spacing of 5 form unit. And the last region is just flex. The 5 form unit is set to fill as well as the last region. Regenerate your form. Our customer orders form has a tile section on the left side and the customer orders information on the right side. We're going to build the right side first, so draw a flex layout into that region. Click into that flex region and set the design type to vertical box. Add 2 more regions, so we have 3 regions within that new flex layout. Region index 0 will be a 4 form unit, set to fill. Region index 1 will be 13 form unit, set to fill with a default margin of 4141. And the last region will be a flex set to fill with the default margin at 4024. Hit OK when you're done and regenerate. Now we're going to build the menu bar for the customer orders form. Draw a flex into the first region and rename it to Flex Layout. Order menu. The background for this flex will be a dark color. I'm setting the hex value to 3838. Hitting OK. And regenerating the form. Click on Flex Layout Order menu. Our first region will be of 22 form unit, horizontal, middle, and start. Adding 2 more regions. Region 1 will be for spacing, and the last region will have our Save button of 5 form unit. Adding another region to have spacing between the end of the form and our button. Region 2's orientation will be horizontal, middle, and center. Hit OK when you're done. Looks like I need a little bit more spacing towards the end of the form, so I'm changing that to 2 form unit and regenerate. Drag a static into the first region. This will be our customer orders caption. Caption the static customer orders. Set the theme class to white subheader. No colon is true. I'm going to play around with the size. So my width is 20 and my height was 1.58 and I regenerated my form. Drag a button component into the second to the last region. Set the theme class to clear button and I'm giving it a bitmap file name of acme_save.png. It's a picture of a save icon. The width will be 3.5 and height will be 1.7 and regenerate. Draw a flex layout into the second region. This is where a group of edit boxes will be. Set the design type to be vertical box. Add in 2 regions, so we have 3 regions in total. The first region will be of 3.5 form unit, and the last region, region index 2, will also be of 3.5 form unit. The region in the middle is just for spacing of 1 form unit. Make sure both of those regions of 3.5 are set to fill. Hit OK when you're done. So we will have 2 rows of edit boxes. I'm drawing in 2 flex layouts within those 3.5 regions. Click on the first flex layout, so that's our first row. So we will have about 5 regions in total with a 1 form unit region in the middle for spacing. Regions 0, 2, and 4 will actually hold the edit boxes, and I will set the spacing to 2 form units instead. Set the flex regions to be of fill and hit OK. So we'll do the same exact thing for the second row, for the second flex. Make about 5 regions, alternate between a flex region and a form unit region, and make sure that the flex regions are set to fill. Make sure you regenerate your form. Draw a flex layout into the first row. This flex will contain our static and our edit box. It will have 2 regions. The first region will be of 1.5 form unit, set to fill, and the second region will be 2 form unit, also set to fill. Make the design type to be vertical box. Drag a static into the first region. Drag an edit box component into the second region. Click on the static and set the theme class to black label. No colon is set to true. Click on the edit box, set the theme class to Acme Edit, and regenerate your form. I'm going to caption our static order number. Set the justification to left, and regenerate your form. Do the same thing for all 6 of the regions. So I will draw flex layouts into all of the remaining 5 regions and regenerate my form. So I'm doing the same thing. I am adding in 2 regions. The first region is of 1.5 form unit and the second region is of 2 form unit. They're both set to fill. I will repeat the same process for all of the regions containing the edit boxes and the statics. So the name of your statics are as follows: order number, customer number, company number, requested ship date, and source. And I will end up changing requested ship date to a date combo component. For now, we won't bind our edit boxes to anything. Drag a grid component into the second region. Under the Appearance tab, select Theme Class to Acme Grid. Click into your grid and add about 12 grid columns. Don't worry about binding these or naming these just yet. After we've retrieved information, we're going to come back and we're going to bind and rename them. Regenerate your form. So this grid will hold our order line information for the customer order that we picked. The customer orders will be listed on the left side. As you're selecting orders, the order information in the edit boxes will change, and so will the order lines in this grid. Add a grid component into the first region of the main flex. Click on the grid and apply the Acme Blue Grid theme class. Let's add some grid columns. I'm adding about 5 of them. Our theme class Acme Blue Grid gives our grid a blue background. This will eliminate some of the white spaces between the tiles. Click into the middle region and open the flex. The region with 5 form unit, we're going to hide this for now. And select false for visible in design mode. Regenerate your form. I'm going to make a copy of this form. Go under Form Definition Copy. For the source, type in the name of your form or select it from the drop-down. I'm making a copy of this form now because our vendor form will look almost exactly the same, but with different data. You can name your target form portal AK_ vendor orders. Once you have your form, you can close it for now, and we will end up changing the statics and the edit boxes, but it will follow the same design. Now we're going to build the IDO for our customer orders. Form definition new. For the category, select new data. The wizard will be maintenance. I will name my IDO portal AK_ M3 customer orders or order. Give it a table alias, and let's add our properties. Our first property is comp num, so that's the company number. Second is the customer number, cust num, order date, order number. In my example, I created a random GUID property that you don't need. So I would like you to just skip random GUID and then add source and source RP. All the data types are of type string. And again, just skip random GUID. Source RP is also of type string. Once you're done, let's do our property lengths. All the properties will be of length 150. Check off required for cust num, order num, and source. Give your properties some captions, so for the label string ID, it's the same name as the property. Select your primary keys. They are the same as the required properties. And when you're done, hit Next, hit Finish, and select Yes. This wizard will walk you through building a form for the IDO that we created. So hit Next and include all of our properties, and then hit Finish, and then close. So this next step you can skip because I included the random GUID property. I'm just removing it. I'm going under Modify Constraints and removing it as a primary key. Setting it to is nullable and then saving it, opening up my IDOs form, finding that IDO, and checking off the required property, and then removing it from the form as well. If you didn't include the random GUID property, open up your form and give it some dummy data to see if it saves properly. And looks like it does. So now we're going to create the customer order lines form. Select the new data wizard. For the IDO name, I'm going to name mine portal AK_M3 customer order lines. Give it a table alias. And let's start adding in our properties. Our first property name is comp num, cust num, item, line num, net amount, net order, order number, price, quantity, ship date, source, and source RP. All of our properties are of data type string. So make sure all of them are set to string. All of the property lengths are set to 150, except for item, which is set to 75. Select line num for the primary key, order num, and source. For the label string ID, it will be the same name as the property name. When you're done, hit Next, then Finish and select Yes to create our form. Hit Next, include all of the properties, Next, and then Finish, and let's check out our new form. Add some dummy data and hit Save on customer order lines. Looks like it saves properly, so I just deleted that and open up your IDOs form. Find your customer orders IDO. We will add a sub-collection property. Check out the IDO if you haven't done so and click on New Property. Select Sub-Collection, hit Next, and type in your sub-collection IDO. So our sub-collection IDO is M3 order lines, customer order lines. And I will name my sub-collection property sub-order lines. Going into the properties and setting the link by, my parent property is order num and my child property is order num as well. Hitting add, hit OK, and then hit save. Go into design mode, form definition new, and we're going to create a new form to get the M3 data. We will make an API call to populate the customer orders IDO and customer order lines IDO. I'm naming my form portal AK underscore get customer order data. The data source is set to portal AK underscore M3 customer order. I will add the order lines IDO as a secondary collection. So once you have your form, add a grid, and then add a second grid for the order lines. The first grid will be bound to the primary collection, and the second grid will be for the order lines. So in the details pane, add a secondary collection and set it to portal AK M3 customer order lines, and then regenerate your form. So here I'm just resizing the grids and making sure that they look the same. Add a button component to your form. Set the caption to get M3 data. This button will get the M3 customer orders data. Click on the first grid and set the binding type to be primary collection. Click on the second grid and set the binding type to be secondary collection grid. Click on the ellipsis and select your order lines secondary collection. Go under Event Handlers, add a new event. I will name my event Invoke method. This event will make our API call to M3. For the response type, select Method Call. Click on the ellipsis and either type in the IDO name or you could select it from the dropdown. The IDO is Ion API methods. The method is Invoke Ion API method. Click on the ellipsis, click on the first parameter, set the value of the first parameter to be true, set the value of the second parameter server ID to be 0. For the API context parameter, I'm passing in a variable value. The variable name will be suite context. For HTTP method, I'm also sending in a variable value, and the value will be capital H, HTTP method. Same thing for method name. It's a variable value that we will pass in form script with the name method name. For method params, the variable name will be parameters. For request content type, it will be literal of value application / JSON. For timeout, it will be 10,000 seconds, so just 10,000. HTTP response code, I will rename it to just response code. Make sure you set it to value type variable. For the response parameter, set it to variable response content. Response headers will be a variable also, just a capital R here. And for the last one, it will be variable response info bar. And hit OK when you're done. Make sure everything is correct. Before we make our API call, or our method call in this case, we need to clear out the variable values from the previous call. So we will add another event before the call. We also need an event after the call to parse out the API response. Click on the plus icon to add two events. Move one above and below method call. Select the response type of the first event to be set values. Click on the ellipsis. For the variable section, click on the ellipsis again. Click on New. I'm clearing out all of the return parameters. The first one is response code. The second is response info bar, response content, and the response headers. Hit OK. Hit OK again. And for the second event, we're going to set the response type to be form script method. Set the parameters parse response, so it'll call our parse response method and regenerate your form. Open up form script. The first thing I will do is create class variables for making my Ion API call. The setIonCall parameters method sets the form variables and calls the method executeIonCall. This method will generate the form event invoke method. We need to get our order and order line information from M3. To test your API calls before programming them, go to Ion APIs. Find the M3 API, search for customer order. I will use the search head and search line calls. That will be the method name in our API call. For the sQuery string, I am supplying an asterisk and hitting execute to get all of my order information. Set your form variables to match the API information in Ion. Our parameters variable takes in a JSON string. It will have an array of objects with the properties name, type, and value. This is how you will pass in API headers, queries, and the body for a post call. The form variable last triggered Ion call needs to be set so we can parse out the values from the API response. So here I'm building out the parse response method. The API response will be set to the response content variable on the form, which is also one of the parameters for our method call. I will use the Newtonsoft library to read our JSON. Import newtonsoft.json.link and also import newtonsoft.json. Deserialize the content of the JSON to a variable sircont. I will add a try and catch for parsing out the JSON depending on the last triggered Ion call. If the last triggered Ion call is M3 order line, then we will execute the code under this case. The variable JSON object count counts the number of JSON objects within the response. For every object, so we're doing a loop here, we need to extract the values and add it to our IDO. To add it to our IDO, I'm doing an update collection request. Supplying the correct IDO name, portal AK underscore M3 customer order. Our catch statement will catch any errors and assign it to the variable parse response error. Here I'm just going to add a counter and regenerate my form. I will add another try and catch. This is for parsing through the serialized content variable, sircont. If it fails to parse through the values, it will catch the error. And again, I'm setting it to the variable parse response error. And then I'm finishing off the update collection request by setting it to the response variable. I'm doing the same thing for M3 order line get. I will copy everything from M3 order get into M3 order line get. Changing the IDO to M3 customer order lines. We have to change the name of our properties for the customer order lines IDO. And here are all of our properties with the values from the serialized content. I'm going to open my customer order lines form, make sure that I have all of the properties from here, and regenerate your form. Under event handlers, I will add 2 events. M3 order get. This will call the M3 order method, and M3 order line get, which will make the API call to get the order lines. The type is form script method, and for order line get, the type is also form script method, making sure that the names of the methods match, and regenerate your form. I'm going to rename our get M3 data button to get M3 order data, and if you don't have this button, just drag a button component onto the form. I'm dragging another button component, making sure it's aligned, and I'm renaming that to get M3 order line data. Clicking on the first button, I'm going to change the primary event to M3 order get. Then clicking on the second button, changing the event to M3 order line get and regenerating my form. So the next thing we need to do is display the parse response error. I'm dragging a multi-line edit component onto the form, setting the binding type to be variable parse response error, hitting OK and regenerating my form. So I'm clicking on the first grid bound to our primary collection IDO, which is our customer orders. I'm adding in all of the columns, and these will be bound to the properties in the customer orders IDO. Speeding through this here, hitting OK. Now clicking on the second grid, that will be bound to our customer order lines. I'm adding in all of the columns and binding it to the properties. So this will be the last step for this form, and when you're done, just regenerate your form and we're going to run it. So open the Get Customer Order Data form in run mode and click on the Get M3 Order Data button. I have a test record for my customer order data, which I will delete later. And as you can see, we have our customer order data. I'm just getting rid of that test row, saving it, and then I'm clicking on Get Order Line Data. You can either refresh the grid or you could close the form and reopen it again. And looks like we have our order line data as well. Now that we have our data, let's go back to our customer orders form. In the primary collection field, type in the name of your IDO. Mine was portal AK underscore M3 customer order, and then regenerate your form. Click on the blue grid and set the binding type to be primary collection grid, and then regenerate your form. Then click on the grid, and for all the columns, I'm going to bind it to the properties in the primary collection grid. Hit OK and regenerate your form. For the order lines grid, I'm going to set the binding type to be subcollection grid. Hit the ellipsis and set the subcollection property to be suborder lines, and regenerate your form. Click on the grid and bind all of the columns to the properties in the IDO. When you're done, hit OK and regenerate your form. Click on the grid and under Collections, make sure the Save, Delete, and Refresh options are set to True. When you're done, save. Open your customer orders form in run mode and hit Refresh to see all of your orders as well as the order lines. Under Form Behavior, I'm setting the initial command to be Refresh. All the edit boxes need bindings. The first edit box is order num, cust num, company num, and you can ignore requested ship date for now because we will switch that out for a date combo component. For the source, you could bind that to the source property. So now I'm deleting that requested ship date edit box, dragging in a date combo component, and then binding it to order date. When I'm done, I'll just regenerate my form. I clicked on the order lines grid, and now I'm setting the no row header property to true. And for our order lines grid, we will need a tile form. So that's the next step. We will start building our tile form. It looks like this. Go into Form, Definition, New. For the category, select Classic. And for the wizard, select Tile. Hit OK. I'm going to name it Portal AK underscore customer order tiles. And the data source will be my customer order IDO. Hit Next. I need all of these properties. And then hit Finish. I'm going to clear out the form by deleting all of the components and resize it to 31 and setting the height to 4.4. We are just testing the size of the form, but we will expand it later. I drew a static, and I'm setting the theme class to be icon background sub. You don't have to do this. You could just set the background color to be dark blue. Here I'm showing you the theme class. Under statics, icon background sub. You could pause the video to grab the hex value. Regenerate your form. Click on the static. Under layout, we're going to set the width to 32 and the height to be 4.5. The location, set it to 0 and 0. Regenerate your form. I'm going to expand the form. So I'm setting the width and the height to be 36 and 10 so that I could draw some of the other components. I drew a static component and I'm setting the theme class to be white sub header bold. This will contain our order number. Setting the binding type to be order num and no colon to true. I'm copying and pasting this 4 times. We will have 4 properties on this form. So next I'm setting the binding. The binding for this component is order date. Top right is customer number and bottom right is source. I'm regenerating my form. I'm drawing a static bar on the left-hand side, setting the background color to be white. So that's the hex value FFF, and setting no colon to be true, and then regenerating my form. I'm dragging all of the components to the static area and regenerating my form. I'm clicking on the static bar and setting the width to be 0.5 and the height to be 3.3. And now using my keyboard, I'm trying to center the static bar. Click on the custom static. Under layout and size, set the width to be 11.1 and the height to 1.6. The theme class is white label bold, and click on the source static, set the width to be 10 and the height to be 1.3, the location to be 2.5 and 19.75. For cusnum, the location is 0.7 and 18.6. For order num, the location is 0.75 and 2, and the width and the height are 28.3 and 1.8. Set the justification for left. For order date, set the justification for left, and set left under location to be 2.125 and top to be 2.5. The size is 20.3 and 1.2. When you're done, regenerate your form. Now I'm setting the height on the form to be 31 and 4.4. Regenerate your form again, and we're done with our tile. I'm clicking on each static to make sure it has the correct binding. Order num, order date, and the source is set to source. Go under form definition and open up the customer orders form. So that's portal AK underscore customer orders. Once you have your form open, click on the primary collection grid, and under tile form, select our tile form, portal AK underscore customer order tiles, tile when to always, and regenerate your form. In run mode, clear your cache and open up your form. Make sure that everything is correct. As you can see, we have our tiles, and as you click on the tiles, the details on the right-hand side change. So it looks like some of the fonts are not matching on the edit boxes. I'm going to add a theme class to each one of them. Click on Customer Number and add the theme class Acme Edit. Make sure all of the edit boxes have that theme class. For Requested Ship Date, make the theme class Acme Date Combo. So it looks like for the order line grid, we have to stretch the columns out. Click on the grid and set Stretch Columns to True. Click on the grid, and I'm going to give all the columns names and hide some of them. So the first column, hidden is true, and rename it to source RP. Second column is order num, naming it to order num, and hidden is set to true. Third column is custom, and hidden is set to true. Fourth column is company num, and hidden is set to true. Fifth column is line num, and sixth is item. Seventh is net amount. Eighth is net order. Ninth is price. 10 is quantity. 11, hidden is set to true and ship date, and 12 is source. Regenerate your form. Unload your cache and open up your customer orders form. Looks like everything is correct. All the columns are stretched out and all the columns that we need are there. We are done with our customer orders form, so let's add it to our customer page. In design mode, open up your customer page form. Form definition design, portal AK underscore customer page. Once you have the form open, click into Flex Layout Content. Draw a subform component into the Flex. Click on the ellipsis and select your customer orders form. Portal AK customer orders, and hit OK. Regenerate your form. Let's test it out in run mode. Unload your cache and open up the customer page form. So it looks like everything is working correctly. The customer orders form is showing up within the customer page form. And as I click on my orders, I can see the details on the right-hand side. Thanks for watching.